Hello! Today we'll be talking about Victorian England and the Industrial Revolution. Now for our first story, Rebecca will be discussing the childhood and education in Victorian England. Make this easy.
The life of a child during the Industrial Revolution in Victorian England wasn't easy. At home, the kids were either working outside or doing chores inside. Usually only the boys went to school. The girls stayed at home learning how to clean, sew, and cook. When the boys went to school, it wasn't easy. The teachers were strict with all the rules. Some of the rules were when the teacher walks into the room, every student must stand up. The students cannot ask questions or raise their hand without permission. After school, most kids would go to work at a job. The money they got from working always went to their parents. Money was tight, especially when the family had a child going to school. Now it is time for our second story. Emily will be talking about children and the working conditions.
Most kids who worked had a hard time making money. There were negative effects at first, but then there were positive changes. At first, kids as young as 5 years of age had to work for up to 19 hours with a 1-hour total break. They would get little to no pay. Some kids were called mudlarks. A mudlark would wade in the highly toxic Thames mud to find things to sell to people for money. Some things that they would find and sell were dog poop and cigar butts. They would earn nothing but a few pennies. Fortunately, there was a reform in the years of 1902 to 1915 that allowed kids of certain ages to work for a certain amount of hours. They would also be able to go to school for no less than 2 hours a day. For our third story, Jacob will be discussing the inventions and the Industrial Revolution.
There were a lot of inventions that were made in the Victorian era. Some of them were cable-negative trains and railways, telephone and radio, to name a few. They were made basically the same, but have been improved over the years and are still in use today. Also, the Industrial Revolution caused overcrowding in the cities and pollution, both air and water, from the factories. Poor living conditions made it easier for diseases to spread. Also, a lot of people died from the diseases because of the filthy living conditions, and they didn't know what causes the diseases. At first, they thought they were from bad smells. Also, there were massive outbreaks of diseases such as cholera and smallpox. They were spread by contaminated drinking water, which was contaminated by sewage, and person to person. In fact, most of the deaths in Victorian England were from diseases. The diseases spread so easily because the drinking water was contaminated and there was no known cure or vaccination back then, but mostly from person to person in bad water. Back to you, Rebecca.
Overall, the Industrial Revolution had many negative effects as well as positive. Some of the negative effects were not all kids got to go to school, and if they did, it wasn't a very good school unless you were very rich.
Overall, there were a lot of technology advances made in the Victorian era, and people all moved so they could help make these new products, but this caused overcrowding and massive disease outbreaks.
Overall, the working conditions were pretty harsh for children, but thankfully the reform helped to improve the working conditions for children. They could also then go to school.
That concludes our video. Until next time, this is Chuckles Norris, signing off.